When starting a presentation here at Royal Roads University, we like to acknowledge the land that we're on. We invite you as well to use the chat if you want to share the land that you're joining us today. So at Royal Roads, we are on the land of the Cosapsan and Lackawanna territories, known as the Esquimalt and Songhe nations and families. We like to acknowledge that Indigenous communities have been here long before us, they're still present, and they will be here in the future. So it's with great privilege and pleasure that we work together, live together, play together, and come together to learn more about their history, our history, and how we can better work together. So please feel free to introduce the territories that you're on, the land that you're on, in the chat option. And today we're here to talk about the grad certificate, grad diploma, and master in interdisciplinary studies. With me today, I have Dr. Joe Axe, and I have as well Willem, that is the program advisor. Do you want both to just say hi quickly?
Sure. Hello and welcome to the presentation. Looking forward to talking to everyone.
Thank you for you all being here. My name is Willem, and I'm the program advisor. So, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. So the agenda for today, we're doing a brief overview of Royal Roads University. We'll talk about the program, we'll talk about application and admission, and we'll answer your questions. Here, an important slide for me, just for you to know why explore Royal Roads University. So we know you have a lot of options, there's a lot of universities out there, but really Royal Roads, what makes us special? So we see life as a qualification. So we'll discuss that in the admission process, but really at Royal Roads, when you apply, we see you as a whole person coming with your past experiences and where you want to go in the future. So we really take in consideration what you have done in volunteer work, past school studies. Prof who know your names, that's very important for us at Royal Roads. I'm a student myself, and it's very good not to be just a number. So as you start talking with Willem, with Rhonda that is with us today, the enrollment advisor, really at Royal Roads, people will call you by your name from the start to the end, if I can say. And in the cohort, you will really, small size cohort, you will get to know your prof, get to know your colleagues as well. We say learning based on life as well, because the learning that you do outside the classroom will count in the classroom. So everything that you experience, we work a lot. I mean, most of our students are working professionals. So really what you experience outside the classroom, you can bring it inside the classroom, discuss. It's a real-time challenge-based, if I can say, and you can bring all those experiences with you and discuss them with profs and with your cohort. Connection for life is a little bit similar. The people you will meet in the cohort or your prof, or people that you will meet maybe in different classes, because in this program you move from a class to another one, those people you will connect for life. And I think this is really one of our very great advantage at Royal Roads, is all the connection, the alumni network that we create all around the world. And we were built differently. That's important, because when we started being a university more than 25 years ago, it was already an online environment. So we didn't transition to online learning a few years ago, as many institutions have been doing. It's really, for us, it was since day one, 1995. So we have always had an online component into our institution. And as well, we are on a national heritage site, which is pretty special. With I'll show you some pictures in a minute. And we have a lot of instructors that are also working in the industry. So you really get all the knowledge that you need to complete your degree. Finally, we are a changemaker campus, so you can look Ashoka Universities on Google. We are one of the few institutions in Canada that get that accreditation, and it's really to encourage and address world problems, encourage others, and act for the good of all. So we talk here about innovation and leadership at the core values of the institution. And before I pass it to Joe, I will just show you a few pictures. I know that most programs are online, but just if you come around in Victoria, maybe this summer, and you want to visit campus, on the top left, you can see the Hatley Castle, which is one of the most iconic buildings on campus. Many movies were filmed there. We have events, weddings, a lot happening at Hadley Castle, which was built in 1908, so a few years ago. We also have the Japanese garden. We have 565 acres of land and garden. So that's very beautiful when you want to go for lunch or come for a visit. On the bottom left, you have the Esquimalt Lagoon, which is a bird sanctuary. Again, if you're on campus for a class, you can just go there and have a picnic with your colleagues or just go for a walk. And on the bottom right, online learning for 25 years. As I just mentioned, since day one, this is the model that we use at Railroads. And I will pass it to you, Joe, if you want to introduce the program.
Great. Thanks very much, Nancy. That was a great discussion. I will be looking at 3 programs today. My name is Jo Axe. I'm the program head for each of those 3 programs. And I have been at Railroads since 2000. So I've been teaching online for a very long time and love the environment. So next slide, please. So because we're focusing on interdisciplinarity, just a little bit of a oversight about what our students might be looking for. So what does this mean when our students are in the classroom? So oftentimes they come with background in a variety of different areas and are looking to think about those complicated problems they've maybe seen at work or within the bigger world around them. And so they're looking at how to use different theoretical frameworks from different disciplines to provide insights into those problems that they're looking for. And it can be a really great fit if you're looking for answers to problems, but you haven't really quite figured out how to approach it. This is the program for you. And again, those creative thinkers looking for the new solutions to traditional challenges that we've had. So looking a little bit more about our students individually, what are they thinking about when they join our program? So we've had many conversations over the years with students about what sort of things they are really focusing on when they choose interdisciplinarity. So they're looking for those individualized academic fields. So if you take a program at Railroads in Interdisciplinary Studies, you're looking at different perspectives. So we have 8 different fields of study that you can choose courses from, and you can meld those together to a program that builds that personal schedule just for you. It won't be like anybody else's. Very rarely do we ever see 2 students taking the same schedule throughout the entire experience they're doing with the master's program. And then the opportunity to build those diverse networks, and Nancy was mentioning that earlier on, because you're going in and out of other disciplines, you will be popping in and out of cohorts that may be focused on business, communications, leadership. So you'll be having a look at students working in those areas, and you'll have a chance to build really robust networks with those students as well. And if you're interested in doing research, there's an opportunity to bring in a research topic, bring in your research questions. We can have a look at which particular research pathway might be a good one for you based on the questions that you're asking, and help you research and look into that topic in more depth and maybe come up with some solutions. So who are the students? That's what everybody wants to know. Who else am I going to be in the cohort with? So I'm not going to read down this list of people. And this is a snapshot of some of the people who are in our program. You'll find there are others as well. But regardless of what background they're coming in from, the last bullet really says it for me. They're all lifelong learners. They're all people who are interested in their learning, who want to dig a bit deeper into some of the things they know, look at things from theory perspective, look at it from an applied perspective. So what's happening in the workplace, and how might they create some solutions to some of the things that they're seeing in the world around them. So I think you can see there that there are very many different folks in our programs, and you'll be sharing your cohort with experiences with people who bring perspectives from all kinds of different walks of life. So interesting. So this is a little bit of an overview of the options that are available to you in the MAISE program if you choose to do the MAISE degree. You will all be taking the required core courses. So there are 3 core courses, INDS 500, which is Theory and Interdisciplinary Studies. So you'll be looking at different theoretical frameworks that you might then apply as you move throughout your program into different research assignment topics, or just in general terms in other courses that you're taking. 505, which really sets you up with a solid foundation of understanding academic writing. So what is it going to be required when you're in the courses? How are you going to be approaching things? How are you going to be thinking about those topics across the disciplines? And it really introduces some of those communication strategies that you'll be needing as you move throughout the entire program. So we put this right at the beginning so that you can actually move into any of the courses that you're taking with that solid foundation. And the third one of the core courses is social science research methods, so INDS 510. And with that one, you're going to be looking at qualitative and quantitative research methods in a more of an applied context that ROU is so famous for these days. So when you've done those 3 core courses, you then, if you're doing the master's, you will have the option of remaining entirely online. Those are all online courses. So you can stay online if you want and complete your degree without coming to campus. You may want to come for graduation, but you don't have to come to do your courses if you choose to take that pathway. You will then, once you've done your core, you have 9 electives that you can choose. If you take option 2, the yellow stream, you may want to include a residency. So you may want to do residency. You're still on a course-based pathway through the program, but you may wish to come to campus for up to 2 weeks, and that will be part of, there'll be pre-work to do. You come to campus for 2 weeks and usually post-work to do at the end of that when you go back, but you get a chance to experience the face-to-face royal roads and come and see the castle, as we mentioned, and spend some time on campus. Most residencies, you will be taking more than 1 course at a time, and sometimes it's up to 3 courses that you might be taking all at the same time. So that does require a slightly different adjustment to your schedule if you're going to plan on doing that. And at the conclusion of that, after you've taken your residencies, you've done your core courses, you'll still have other courses, you complete those online. And the third option, which is an interesting one if you're coming in with a question that you want to find out more about, is you can choose to do a thesis or a major research project, or there's a research paper. So both the thesis and the major project are 12 credits. The research paper is 6 credits, and you don't do any primary research. So if you're doing the research paper, you would not be talking to people. If you're doing a thesis major project, usually you're doing interviews, you might do a survey, you might do focus groups, and that sort of thing. So it does take a little bit longer, which is why 12 credits. But both of them, you can really dig, all 3 of those options, you can really dig down into the really interesting, into the weeds, and try and find out a little bit more about the problem and perhaps find out more of the solution. And if you do decide on a thesis and major research project, I'm more than happy to help you with the decision as to which path might be the best one for you. And as mentioned, you can bring your own research topic, and you add online electives into that to complete the program. So you've got all the 36 credits that you need. So if you look to the left, the bottom left, that's just a quick snapshot summary. You'll be doing 36 credits. You're going to have 27 credits available for electives. Most of our courses at ROU are 3 credits, and you will be working with our program staff, which is usually Willem, to complete the schedule and make sure that you've got the path that suits your needs the best. And there will be an opportunity to transfer in credits if you have done some master's level courses elsewhere. Thank you. So what does it look like online learning at ROU? In general terms, these are all the things you'll see. So as you dip in and out of courses, you'll probably, by the end of your program, have done all of these things. You might not do them all in the same course though. So there will be discussion posts. Many of our courses include discussion posts, and there will be contribution or participation, as we sometimes call it. So you'll be having conversations with your classmates through those discussion posts. There'll be reflective activities that could be requiring you to think about an activity that's happening or a problem that's happening in a work environment. You can have those real life assignments. So things that actually ask you to look to the workplace, the practical sides of your life, and trying to come up with something that you can look at that through the lens of theory and come up with some interesting reports, papers, etc. In some courses, you'll get feedback from your peers. Not all of the courses use those. You will be working with folks as well, though. So the team activities in many of our assignments and courses at REU. So you'll be working together on teams. It could just be something where you go out and you look for something and you bring it back and you present on it. It could actually be doing a report together in a team environment, but any of those are options. Lots of things, opportunity to read. So you will be looking at using our library resource, which is wonderful, and the librarians are super helpful. And you will be getting feedback from your instructor, feedback from instructor and from your peers, as we noted earlier, and that opportunity to build shared knowledge. So as you can see, many of these things will incorporate participation. They'll be working with others, giving feedback, receiving feedback. All those things are options in our online courses. So if you're here because you're interested in the grad cert or the grad diploma, there are differences, obviously, but there are also similarities. So the first 9 credits of a grad certificate are the same 3 core courses that you'll be taking in both the diploma and the certificate and the master's. So you'll be, if you start with a graduate certificate, which some students decide they would like to start with a graduate certificate, they're not quite sure how much further they want to go. So they'll start with a grad certificate. You can then ladder that in because you're taking the same 3 courses as you are in the master's and the diploma. So you could either ladder it into a diploma or you could ladder it into a master's. If you decide to start with a graduate diploma, then that's going to be 18 credits. And those are the 3 core courses that we just talked about. Plus you get 3 electives if you choose that option. And at the end of that, you could then ladder that into the MA. Most of our students will choose to do that prior to getting to the end. They realize that they're actually enjoying this. This is a great experience. It's beneficial, etc. And so they'll start with the grad cert and then ladder into the masters, or they'll start with a diploma and ladder into the masters. But both of those are options. And here's some of the opportunities that you can think about. So you can transfers from our RIU graduate certificates in other areas of the university, you can take up to 12 credits and transfer those into MAs if they're at the graduate level. So they have to be graduate certificates, and they may also allow you to fast track towards a professional credential. So we've got 3 examples here of things that you can do by taking a graduate certificate in a specific area and ladder that into or transfer fast track into a professional credential. So you've got project management, change management, and strategic human resources management. And I think at this point, I will hand over to Willem.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, thank you. If you like, before I explain a bit more about now, how do you actually make your program schedule happen, right? So Joe has given the theory right behind the program, and then here's, I would say, the practice. How can we make this all happen? But before I do that, one question that sparked me when you were at the slide from the graduate certificate in relationship to the diploma, in relationship to the master's, right? I just want to say one little thing about that. So if you like, you can take those 3 core courses as part of a certificate, but those courses really were designed to jump in and out of other areas, right? So they are best taken prior or as part of the master's program. But if you wish to have a smaller closed credential first to see how you're doing, then that could be a great way to go. But ideally, you take it as part of a larger program. So let's say that you are interested. So this example is based on the idea that you're taking the master's, right? So and one more thing about that, the graduate certificate, of course, is a graduate credential, but the master's and the diploma, they have different status, also in regards to funding, right? So that's another consideration there. But so this example I'm going to give you here is then based on the master's. So after you've then taken the first 2 program courses, right? The 505, skill-based writing, critical thinking, and the 500, the frameworks of social science theory, then you can then decide on what you want to take next. And this is the guide, and I'm going to go share it with you. That you will visit. And Nancy, if you can quickly confirm you can see my screen, that will be helpful for me.
Yes, dear.
So this is the guide, and if you get into the guide, you'll have on the left-hand side a few options here. Now, the course-based option that Joe earlier explained would be all online courses. And this is where you can see all the different areas of study, fields of study that you, after you've taken the first two program required courses, perhaps the third as well, but that can be taken later, the INS 510 Social Science Research Methods course. So you can take that later in case you want to have a research. We placed it later in the program, but those three are program required. But after you've taken the first two, then you can actually start taking electives part of the program. And this could be an example then what you're looking for. So most often we have at least two disciplines represented in a program. And we do have some conditions, right? And basically there's two sets of conditions when you choose courses. Is one, how many introductory or foundational courses do you include? And two, how many courses from one specific area are you interested in? Because the program is meant to be interdisciplinary, of course, but also you can take foundational courses to introduce yourself into a field, but also we need to see the depth of knowledge, right? So the more advanced courses, which are more at the second MA level, that you will find here. So each of those areas, let's say we click on business management in this case, then you will find all the courses listed here. Now, all these courses, they have their own home program, right? So it's interesting for you to read on that, like a strategy course, for example, is from the Masters of Business Administration, right? And let's say you're interested in managing consulting best practices, right? There are two courses. And underneath it here, you will read then what the conditions are. So permission required. In that case, we have to vet your experience within business with the program head who owns this course, so to say. We do it on your behalf, but then you know there's an additional process once you are actually in the program, right? So that's part of that, and any co-requisites. So I would say I encourage you just have a look at all the areas here. Now, also on the left-hand side, you will find the foundational residency. That was the yellow stream that Joe explained. So here you have then the overview of the foundational residency course. In a residency course, and let's visit the leadership because it's a good example here, the multi-sectoral leadership residency. Often multiple courses at the same time. And what we do at the Royal Roads with most residencies, we call it blended, but for about 4 weeks online, 2 weeks on campus, and then 4 weeks online. So what that does is you set yourself up with foundational theoretical knowledge in online with the cohort. Then you come to campus well prepared. You have that intense learning experience, which over probably more than 40 hours a week, right? So it's really condensed, no time for other commitments during that week, then to sleep probably. And then afterwards again online, where you then work out your ideas that you generated during that residency. So these are some examples of foundational residency courses. You can include one of those, and the reason is that you can have foundational courses, but you also have to have some more advanced courses. Now, another option that Joe, you didn't touch on, but I wanted to mention here, this advanced residency courses. So those are higher level MA courses. For example, we go to communication and culture. They have electives in their second year, and you're allowed to take those after you've taken the program required courses, right? For example, there is a course on conflict analysis and management, and this is a single course, but the same idea, about 4 weeks online, 2 weeks on campus, and then four weeks online again. So that's not considered a foundational course; it's an advanced course. So yeah, have a look at this guide. If you have any questions, just send me an email. I'll put my email in the box, in the chat box later on. But this will explain you a lot. Just before I move on here, there are some frequently asked questions that could be helpful if you're thinking about applying for either really short notice for September, right? And then you will get to that, or then for the February intake, which is the one after here, after the September intake. There are some general ideas here that you might be interested in, like what it is to have an interdisciplinary degree, right? Like how can you explain it to your employer, things like that. What will my schedule look like? So you have a little bit of an example in here. The difference between major project thesis, major project and research paper. So have a look at before, during, and during the program frequently asked questions. I believe that gives you a good introduction to the guide. It's a lot to take in, but I'll be here if you have any specific questions. So I like to do one more piece of information about what the process is like, right? So as soon as you apply, then you will then work with our admissions advisors on building your application for becoming a graduate student at Royal Roads. But then there is a sub-process, process B, I call it. You work then with myself and my colleagues to build that individual schedule that is unique to you. And I ask you for your goals, what kind of experiences are you interested in, what kind of levels, how can we represent both the depth of knowledge as well as the breadth, right? Are you interested in research? You want to change it later on? All these things I will discuss with you. That then creates a draft schedule, and that draft schedule, that is kind of a snapshot for you. Then, okay, I want to continue with this. I'll put it to the application as soon as you can approve it, right? And then the application together with the schedule will then be adjudicated by our adjudicators. So that's in short the process. So I've one more thing. I think I have some questions later on if you have, but if you could move on to the next slide, please. There's one more thing, of course, around readiness, right? The September intake is around the corner. You could be all set up, but when I speak with students, we have two intakes, so either this one or the next one. But it's important to weigh both sides. Are you actually ready for a graduate program, right? Because being a graduate student is an intense decision, or not a decision, it's an intense job, right? Especially when you're working on the side as well. So you really have to think, is this going to help me become a better person than I am right now? Am I getting the skills from the courses that I want to include? Is somebody else pushing me to get a degree, or am I intrinsically interested in learning, right? So all these questions, you have to think about that. Academic writing skills, so I've written some of the ideas down here. The good thing about the MACE program is we have a really solid writing course at the start, and I often find that many students coming in or applicants are very concerned about the writing skills, right? But we have a fantastic course and a really good instructor who helps you explain the academic skills when it comes to writing. And so we have the APA, you've probably heard about it, the American Psychology Association has a guide about citations, how you properly write within academia, how you source, how you explain your argument. That will all be in that course. So I want to take that away. I also want to take away the idea that we have a lot within our student body here with the interdisciplinary program, is because many of our students are older, and I think our average age is about 43, 44. So many students have worked for a very long time, are very well established, and often in senior positions in organizations all over. We have those. We also have very junior students, of course. We have both, but generally the age of our students is older. They often don't feel they belong, right? And that is a real issue too. Imposter syndrome, we call it. So we have some really good resources at the library around that too. It is real, right? What you're going to be doing. The courses are real, so I cannot tell you not to have the feeling of being an imposter. The courses are applied, but that's also part of being ready for a graduate program, is that you feel the confidence to start with it. And of course, actual practical preparations, right? So do you have enough time to spare to work at least 12 to 17 hours a week? In general, we say one course at a time, which most of our students do, is about 12 to 15, 16 hours a week. It depends on many factors, right? Your reading proficiency. If you've never been to graduate school, or your bachelor was completed in 1998, then it's been a while, right? So you got to get into it again. So you need more time at the beginning, for sure, to get back into school and the deadlines. But as Joe also explained, the courses are very well designed. We have several forms of assessment. There's several forms of support, the instructors there. So we will set you up for success, that's for sure. But you also have to have the support of your most important stakeholders, probably if you have your direct family members, right, or your partner. So, and of course, financially as well, there is a higher price tag on the courses euros, because we have a slightly different funding model. And I can put in a link to the payment schedule if you like, which is managed by our student accounts, but you have to have a financial plan in place before you start. I think that's what I wanted to say here. And Nancy, I'd like to go back to you for the actual applying part. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joe and Willem. I find that every webinar I do with you, I keep learning, which is amazing. And because I meet with so many prospects, so many people will come to us and say, oh, I want to do business and leadership, or I heard of tourism and hospitality. And I love what Maze is doing. It's like you can take different passion and put them together with your help. So that's fascinating. And I had a question in the chat about the age of the applicants, of the students. So thanks for answering that. People were saying, what's the age average? So I think you answered that already. Thank you so much. And here, how to apply. So that will be quite easy for you to find the information on our website, royalroads.ca. There's a how to apply section with 10 easy steps to follow. So we have two types of admission at Royal Roads. We have the standard admission, where you are required to have a 4-year or comparable undergrad degree in a related field from a recognized post-secondary institution with the GPA of B+, 3.33, B+. And normally we ask for, we say normally because you will always connect with the enrollment or Willem to kind of discuss your situation. But normally that will be a minimum of 3 years of professional experience. And I think this is what makes the programs at Royal Roads really unique, is that people have work, people have life experience, work experience, and it all comes together in the cohort. Even if it's online, you will really benefit from that. And if you don't have that requirement here for admission, don't worry about it. We have what we call the flexible admission. And flexible admission is not something you need to check when you sign up, when you apply at Royal Roads. Our team will determine if you are standard or flexible, and then they will ask more documents if they need to. So I'll just let you read here. So it's really based on your skills, higher learning for qualified candidate. The flexible admission will kind of look at who you are and make the connection to see if you're a good fit for the GC, GD, or MA. And the ideal candidates, I really like the third bullets there about are self-directed and highly motivated and possess strong interpersonal research and communication skills. Because as I think Joe and Willem really nicely mentioned, you will move from a cohort to another one. You'll have to really be flexible and to be, I would say, independent, and you're like on your own during the journey, so you need to be prepared. So I think it takes a kind of a different skill maybe and a different mindset, but you have so much that you can learn from it. I will just continue with the how to apply. As I said, online, you pay an online fee of $131.39. Then you get an application number, and then you can start submitting your document. So we ask from you the official transcript. Even if it's from 10 years ago, you still need to ask your last post-secondary institution to share with us the transcript. We ask you for a detailed resume who tells us who you are, what's your work experience, volunteer experience, what you have done in the past year. So really a detailed resume. And then a personal statement, what we call as well the statement of intent. And this is, again, for us to better understand what's your motivation, what's your goals. If you have maybe some grade that were like ish in the past, maybe you can let us know why. So yeah, really the statement of intent. And again, on the website, you will get more detail of what to include and the length and all the details. And just to end, and then I'll ask Willem and Joe to add if they have anything to say on this. The 2 letters of reference, we normally recommend to have one academic and one professional. So you will ask people around you that know you to write about you. And I always recommend to share the letter of intent with them so they know why you want to apply to the program. Then they can make a letter that is a bit more specific. Do you have anything to add on this slide? You're okay with this?
Can I just add a couple of pieces, because I end up adjudicating the files, so I just want to add a couple of things in. One of the things that I really like is to see CVs, resumes that are quite detailed, as you mentioned, the detailed resume, but that really give me some insights into the depth of commitment you've had in the jobs that you've had, the types of positions you've held, and how they progress over time. And the other piece is that if you do volunteer work, please do include it in the CV, because it's very important for us to see that aspect of what you've been doing, because that often speaks to contribution to community and the applied nature of the things that you've been doing. So yeah, I think that's all I had to say, but thanks, Nancy.
Thank you. And I think related to what Willem mentioned about the imposter syndrome, I think when you do your statement of intent, your personal statement, that's a very good occasion to reflect on who you are. And sometimes we're quite impressed, like, oh, I've done that 10 years ago and I forgot about it. So then you can dig a little bit in those volunteers and even past works experiences that make you who you are. And the key dates, as we mentioned, we have a next intake in September 6th. So the deadline is kind of now. So what I recommend, if you go online and you apply today or in the coming days, you might not be able to select the 2022 intake, but what you can do is select the 2023, then email our admission team to say, I would like to join the September intake. So we can't guarantee it, but they might have a chance, and then you will need to connect with Willem, and there's like a few more steps to happen, and it's in 2 months. So always, as we discussed, to set you up for success, you might say, yes, I'm ready, or you might want to wait in January. And in January, the deadline would be October. And what I love that we do at Royal Roads is we don't wait at the deadline to accept people. So if you're ready now and you want to apply for January, please do so. And we agitate on a daily basis. So you might get it in a few weeks, and then you'll be set up for January. And an important component of going back to school, as we mentioned, is the financial aid. So I invite you maybe to take a print screen or a picture of that slide here. You have the website, and really connect with the team at Royal Roads, because they have so much information. There's a few bursaries even for people coming back to school, a few $1,000 here and there. And they will really tell you about the external loans, internal loans, and how you can better kind of prepare to go back to school, because we know that it's a huge step. And before we go to your question, here is an important slide as well. So I was telling Rhonda White is with us today from the enrollment team. So if you have any question, you can call, you can email us, or you can even scan that QR code to be connected with one of our team members to answer any question you may have. Thank you again for joining us today, and I'll have a look at the chat to answer any questions, but feel free to email or call us for anything. We're here for you, and we're really hoping that we will see you on campus or online in the coming weeks or months. Thank you so much.
So Nancy, one thing I'd like to add. So with regards to the deadlines, as you mentioned, we have a rolling application deadline. That means that we don't wait for one point of time, everything is gathered, and then we adjudicate. No, it's adjudicated when it comes in and when it's completed. So I think for us, because with the interdisciplinary program, at the MA in particular, right, this is not valid for the graduate certificate or the diploma, but for the full master's program, because we have some more work to be done, drafting the schedule. I believe that if you have all your application documents completed, and your application is by admissions listed as completed, right? So that means all your documents are there. And we have, then you and I, you as the applicant and myself as the advisor, we have then drafted a program schedule. If that both has happened by the first week of August, I believe we still have time to have the application adjudicated. So that would be an informal absolute deadline. I think that's really short. But you can also start the process, and then if you decide you can't make it for September, or you realize it's too fast, then you can just move it over to the next intake. So there's an option there too. So I just want to take the stress away. Like, if you want to go for September, that'll be great. If it's too much, then we can try. If not, then we'll move you on to the next intake. Yeah, that's one thing. One more thing I want to mention, because it sparked my interest, is about self-directiveness, right? And so one overall idea too with the program is especially with Jo, because she has a background within the digital learning, right? We have worked very hard on creating a cohort as well for May students. Because you're going in and out of cohorts, it is still important to have your own base cohort, and you will have that with the first two courses. And to help you also segue into those first two courses, we have a relatively new mini course, and it's called Maze Connect. And Jo and our program staff, Pooja, Dalia, they will lead that with you. And the goal of that is to build that community for you. And we do that through introductions to services at the Royal Roads. For example, we have a fantastic teams coaching department with really well-trained coaches who help you if there are any team-related questions, right? With a theoretical framework, they really have it under control. That's one example that will all be introduced to you during the Maze Connect course. So just want to say, yes, you are self-directed, but you're not hanging there. we keep good track of you and we help you along the way to go into all those different cohorts. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
So-
just going to build on that then, because it's actually the design of that was to purposefully build a community with our May students. It wasn't as much as an orientation as to get to know who you're going to be studying with, and also how to navigate, as Willem mentioned, that the team components as you're going through the different cohorts. But it's 2 weeks. It's got some great activities in it. It's fun, but it is also mandatory. So everybody has to join in and do that.
That's wonderful. Thank you again so much both for joining. Thank you everyone at home. And we'll send the recording as well with all the links that you need to connect with us and learn more about the different programs that we offer. Enjoy your day. I don't see any more questions. So we'll be in touch by email. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.